G'day listeners and welcome to another episode of the Scouting Australia podcast powered by Australian Property Scout Buyers Agency. I'm your host, Sammy Gordon, and today, guys, I have the round table back in the house, ready to go hard. We've got Santa hats on. I've got Jimmy up from Mordor. Mate, how are you?
G'day, Sammy. G'day, listeners. Great to be here. I love the festive spirit. The hats, what a nice touch.
Mate,
There's only
there was
one
a bit of
person
rebellion. There was a bit of rebellion.
I just have to say it off the top. There was only one person out of the round table that did not want to wear the hats. Any guesses who that was?
Brenda.
I'll jump in. There was two.
There was two, see?
Yeah, me and Sam.
Shut up,
The
Jimmy.
two Grinches. Anyway,
Shut
keep
up,
going.
mate. I'm excited for today's episode. Literally, man, this ep last year that we recorded last year that got dropped on January 1st is actually one of my favorite eps, man. It was so much fun. Kind of just jumping through it, man, having a bit of a rip, having fun, looking back on the podcast eps of the year that had been so far, and obviously the lifetime of eps that we've done so far. But it was funny because when we recorded it at the time, we were around about, I think, 13 months in. We launched this on November 21, 2023. Two. Yeah, sweet. So, yeah, two, sorry. So we were 13 months in at that point in time. Now, man, we're obviously another 12 months on from that. So, man, it was cool to reflect back then. And you and I had a bit of a listen to it this morning on the way to and from gym, on the way here as well. Yeah, man, it was cool to reflect on obviously the massive year that we'd had last year and kind of, you know, going through it all and listening to you and Lukey have a bit of throw a couple of barbs around. And yeah, man, I'm excited to jump back into it. Hear what the guys, you know, are bringing to the table in terms of their favorite episodes, what they took the most out of this year. And yeah, man, kind of the things that were most inspirational. Then we're going to round out with the actual most downloaded episodes of the year as well, and the most downloaded episodes of all time. So, man, there's some sideballs in there, man. There's some things that I didn't think were going to be in that list that are in that list. So I think it's going to be really cool to unpack, man.
Now, I know you're going to introduce everyone, but just calling out, last year, someone on the round table was very festive, had a nice coloured Christmas top on, and this year, they've actually gone the opposite.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if the darkness of their soul has suddenly come out or they, you didn't get dressed by your wife or what happened, Lukey?
Lukey.
Well, I'm actually blaming the mother-in-law. I didn't get a Christmas present.
Wow.
Called out the mother-in-law.
The green shirt was actually a Christmas present. So that was the reason why I had a nice festive
You know what,
shirt
though? I will say
year.
one thing, right? Everyone else is in black. He is still wearing navy blue. So he's
Navy
still
blue.
in very dark blue. He's still got colour compared to the rest of us.
Going
Okay,
against,
bit of
going
festive.
against the grain.
And because he's from Queensland, he's got more colour than you, yeah.
Pretty much.
Pale
But Lukey, good to see you again.
Good to
Lukey
see
back
you
in the
guys.
studio.
This is one of my favourite episodes of the year for sure. So it's been a massive year with the podcast. This is the second year now we're doing this. So it's been a huge year for not only clients, but the podcast. And yeah, I'm keen to unpack the biggest episode of the year for sure.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Well, mate, Lukey, it's great to have you back in the studio. We're going to keep running around the table. We've got big Brendan Gagan, mate. You were a star performer at the summit, mate. There was a lot of rave reviews. A lot of people said it might be time for Jimmy to hang up the boots and to bring Brendo in as co-host, mate. What are your thoughts on that? There was a lot of feedback. There was over 100 votes for you to take Jimmy's job.
Yeah, I will back that up. I got a lot of text messages. I got a lot of emails. A lot of fans just reaching out saying, yeah, I think it's time to pass the baton. So
A lot of fans. I love
2025,
it.
we've got some new things coming.
We got some new things.
Good to be here.
There's some big moves, big movers and shakers coming through, mate. How good?
How good?
Mate,
Very good.
Great to
I
have
love
you back,
Jimmy.
brother. Great to have you back. Well, that's only one person that loves you at this table. Morgs, the lovely Miss Morgan Holmes, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Great. And what? Now, how have you been as well? Morgs, it's been a big year. I haven't seen you all year, so it's been a big year. Interested to unpack on your thoughts of the podcast. Have you watched it? Have you listened to any podcasts this year, or is this the first one?
It's hard, like I get enough of you outside of
Wow.
I don't really want to hear you all the time.
What do you reckon, Brenda? All the fans are external, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think, could be. We'll see.
We don't blame you, Morgan. Yeah, we don't know how you do it, but it
Jimmy.
has been a big year.
Moving on. Now, guys, jumping into today's episode. Oh, wait!
Wait! How dare you?
We have got
How dare you?
the elf, the youngest elf at the table. The ears are out, the hat is on. Mr. Bailey Holmes.
Yeah.
Mate, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
welcome.
Yeah, it's crazy to be here. It's so cool. Like, because you asked me to be here, and I was like, well, I'm not going to say no. No way. Just jump in with a couple of legends besides Morgan, and rip in. It's cool.
I'm
So there's
curious,
a couple
Sammy.
of legends. So who are the ones that are non-legends at the table?
Yeah, I won't name names besides Morgan. Morgan
Isn't a legend.
isn't.
Isn't a legend.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
then, there's couple
Okay.
others.
Okay,
Just
so
scraping
There's a
through.
couple.
Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful, man.
Let
Beautiful.
the audience decide.
I've got to
right?
say one quick thing here. This is Bailey's first time at it, and Brendo as well for the round table in terms of selecting from the years. But I have to say to Baz, I think Brendo's a little bit more humble, even though the fans apparently are sending in all the great feedback. But mate, just a quick little note on this: you can't vote for your own episode to be the top performer.
okay.
So I probably should have told you that before. You can go for a bit of a scribble,
I might
pull the
just,
phone
yeah,
out,
change
find
a few
another
notes
episode to
here.
go for.
Yeah,
But
okay.
you can't vote for your own. Your own ep can't be your favorite ep.
So should I just go now?
Probably.
Yeah,
probably.
okay, cool,
It's probably
cool,
a good
cool.
idea.
I'll wait in the car.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bales, mate. We'll see you next year for another ep.
I'm curious, Bales, because the newfound stardom from the tradie site to your
hell.
podcast episode
All these fans.
to actually being the front face of that article that was on news.com
Oh,
with the three fingers that were out.
three
It was
fingers
very
that were up.
gangsterish. How are you dealing? Are you getting stopped at the street?
It's been happening a little bit in the gym, actually. Some people have been coming up and being like, "Oh, I saw you on that news article." Then some fights. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You're just punching on.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
What did because I thought you said 300, right?
Yeah,
300
yeah.
properties.
They
yeah.
misheard it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't done a podcast for, how long was the last one? Probably like a couple months ago.
Couple
so
months,
I've been
yeah.
busy.
You're busy. Yeah. Yeah, sweet.
297 in the meantime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
It's
Well done.
strange that you fight your family members in the gym. They'd be the only ones sort of coming up to see you.
Yeah, that's the only people that want to talk to me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But compared to last year, Sammy, yes, Brendan and Bales, the two new additions for the roundtable.
Two
So
new
we're keen to
additions.
see their insight. And as we all said before the episode, this is one of our favourite episodes, slightly different to our normal content that we give out. Bit of a recap, bit of a celebration. Not to mention our sponsor on the table, if you're watching on YouTube.
Unofficial sponsor, but legendary nonetheless. Jimmy, jump into it.
Yes,
Mate. It's your
we've
favorite
got
drink.
a
He's
good
traded
old
out
classic
water.
Red Roo. This is a Firebolt cinnamon-flavoured Australian vodka. Drink responsibly. However, he's an absolute legend that runs his business in the same
Complex.
precinct.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah. Same little industrial complex. Yeah. that we run out of.
Lukey is a big fan of the Red Roo.
Yeah, I was telling Sammy earlier today that I took it to a Bucks party and we had Fireball next to Red Roo and the boys drank that. We'd finished it completely and the other bottle was still full. No afterburn. It was very popular. So
Ooh.
I definitely, I'm a
I
big
think
fan
they need to
too.
get the stamp on the bottle. Lukey Chewson endorsed.
I think so.
Lukey Chewson endorsed.
So
Red
there
Roo
we are,
vodka.
the Red Roo supporting local business, Sammy.
Absolute champion of a bloke and absolutely beautiful tasting cinnamon vodka.
Yeah, he does a bit of everything.
Dramatic effect.
So how are we going to run this, Sammy? Because last year...
Mate, I am not going straight to you because you just killed the vibe straight away. But the tearjerker coming straight in, man, you brought it like to a very real level. So what I'm going to do, man, is I'm going to throw it straight to the loosest that will keep the energy super high. It is not Morgan Holmes. It is Bailey Holmes. I want to know.
wow.
Have you had time to check the new episode since you scratched yours?
Yeah, I had to take a few quick notes.
Okay.
So you just, I think, I got two favorites. I think the Ella Walcott's one was definitely up there for me.
Okay.
The investor app. I think she just has a great attitude and like the way that she approached everything that sort of came along the journey. It was mad to see. And like all the roadblocks and stuff, she just kept pushing through and kept the same attitude the whole way. And I think she just got a really, she's killing it.
Just give us a quick recap, Sammy, because you did that interview. For people,
Ella
the
Walcott,
listeners.
five properties by 24, young girl Ella. And I think the resilience, like Ella's app's definitely up there for one of my faves, especially from this last 12 months as well. Man, I think the resilience, like just sticking with it. There was times there where she couldn't get vowels up and she didn't let it deter her. Didn't let her again, that's probably the exact word, deter her from keeping on pushing forward. And we just kept in touch, kept chatting about different things. And then bang, the Val finally came in and was able to go to the next one. And then the way she sort of scoured from when that Val finally came in to then going from the 1 to the 5 in that very short window, man, it was super inspiring. So it's definitely up there for mine as well. I know what you guys all think as well, but it was, just crazy resilience, passion, inspiration in terms of going hard and not taking no for an answer.
Yeah, and I think the thing that stood out for me as well was that all her friends around her too, like going down the apartment avenues and stuff like that. And she just thought differently and then found you and then started going down that route and made something massive for herself. So I think it's really cool to see someone go against the grain in like a generation where everyone does the same thing over and over again. And then, do something different than what's surrounding you. I think it was, really cool to see. So I think it would inspire a lot of people out there as well, like especially girls as well. Like they might feel a bit intimidated to sort of do something on their own. And to see, like Morgan's done it as well, but like Ella to go out and do it by herself with no one around her had done it before. and then go out and do it herself is so cool. So yeah, really inspiring for everyone, I think.
And no partner sort of weighing, like in terms of
By
financially helping her, and no parents' assistance and all the rest of it as well. Going out there and literally doing it by herself from scratch. I think the first one was at 21, I think, from memory. Being able to do that, save that, put that together. She also wasn't on a big income when she saved that first deposit. It just really does show that it is possible and it's accessible for anyone. And yeah, man, exactly. I'll go back to it, being a super inspiring sort of thing as well. So I'm actually curious, if I throw it to Lukey for half a sec, man, how many people do you see coming through, even from a strategy side? And I'll throw it to Jimmy too, Brenda, I guess, you guys all on the front end, seeing people come through at those very early stages, wanting to have a crack at those ages of, 21, 24, 25, like Bales as well, like wanting to have a crack.
We have some awesome clients. One of them is Daniel Vanderwerf. He's a awesome young
Shout
guy.
out Daniel's son.
Daniel's son.
So, we have heaps of really young clients that are having a crack. And a lot of them are potentially like the kids of clients as well that have been encouraged into it and they've been exposed to that. But we actually have a lot of people that haven't had any family invest coming through now. And I think that's probably a big shout out to the podcast too and the content that goes out, because they see it's possible. They see some other investor reps. They see people can do it by themselves. They can see you can start at 20, 21, 22, 18, We have a client that's 19. So when you actually look at the influence of the podcast and what that means on clients, those clients coming through early, could you imagine what they can do in 5, let alone 10, 15, 20, 30 years? If they stay consistent and keep at it. But yeah, we have awesome young clients having a crack.
I think what I love
without any help.
Exactly. Now, I think what I love about it, dude, is like, 15, 20, 30 years and all the rest of it is great to say. But I think in reality, with the way that our strategy works and how aggressively we like to build portfolios, and these guys are coming through wanting to build it as well, man, I'm loving seeing these guys with like the vision of what can I do in the next 12, 24 months, and then obviously flowing onto like a 3-5 year window, really wanting to set themselves up, especially whether in their 20s, 30s or 19-year-old, being willing to commit and go hard into this side of thing as well, man. It's inspiring, man. I love it, I absolutely love it.
Can I add something about Daniel? So just for context, Daniel is the nephew of one of my really close mates back in Melbourne. And Daniel started listening to the podcast, and then he inspired his parents to listen to the podcast. So Daniel started the spark for his family, and now his parents, which Lukey, you're their strategist, Mel and Andy, and they've started investing on the back of that. So don't think the parents, you always have to be trying to influence your kids. The kids, any kids listening out there, like Morgs with your mum, I mean, it's incredible. I think it's just bloody awesome that starting at such a young age.
It actually happens more than you think. Like
100%.
Where the kid influences the parent. We've got a few at the moment that I just had a call with a lady, and she's the mum of a client that did his first deal about 3 months ago, and he loved the process, loved the poddy. And then he's like, Mum, why aren't you doing this? And she goes, I'm too old. And then he sent her
when is it too old?
When are you too old? So yeah, it's been really cool to see the influence of the podcast on the clients that we have as well.
I say to every young client that I speak to on the disco calls, I don't know about you, Brendo, but any young client that I speak to, even if they're whatever age they are, but if they're 20s and 30s, I say, I will trade spots with you today. I said, if we could trade spots, would you? And they're like, yeah, 100%. I said, no. You've got the most valuable commodity, and that is time. I will give everything to get your time, because if you're starting this at 20 or 21 or 30 or whatever age you are, imagine what you're going to do in the next 10 or 15 years by starting this now. So
and knowing how to do it now. Like, I think it's buying a property now is one thing. Like, I look at I bought my first one at 19, but my first 5 or 6 years was very slow. And I look at it now compared to even like Bales or Ella or Morgs and like what they did in that time frame, in terms of a rapid acquisition at that young age. That compounding effect is going to be massive. It's going to be absolutely 100%. Huge. So yeah, man, I love it.
That's a nice one. Now, there's no bias there, because we know that Ella has since started working at APS, and there's you're in the same team. You didn't get paid under the table to mention that?
No. That's straight from the heart.
Oh, okay.
Straight from the heart.
Yeah, Ella's so cool. Yeah,
wow.
Shout out to her. Yeah, she's like, we work in the same pod as well, and she helps me out like every day. We just work mad little team we got going on, and she's awesome. Yeah,
I'm curious. What is your favorite app of all time?
Off the cuff.
Yeah,
off the cuff.
The glass half full mindset one.
Ooh,
I love that one. I think it's sick. Yeah, I can listen to it a lot.
Interesting.
I think it's good just to like refer back to if you like got some stuff going on, just like, and it goes back to everything too. Like, you got little stuff happening. I think it's good. Like, I got a bit of a personality where if something's going wrong, I'd sort of just laugh about it. And then you look back at that one and it's sort of like the same sort of thing, not so much like laughing about it, but taking like the positive out of a negative and making it work in your favor. Like
And the way you approach it, right?
yeah, 100%. It's not, I guess, like, it's not how like you, like what you get thrown in life. It's like how you react to it. You can always make a shit situation good. And yeah, I love that app. I think it's awesome. Yeah. Just
Man,
listen to
dude, that's a great one to bring to the table. And to be honest, man, like it's a very mature one, really, to think about as well. It's funny, literally, youngest man at the table, youngest person at the table, bringing that one to the table. And I'm dead serious about that because so many people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, man, they don't come from a solutions based thinking, right? So they see exactly like you say that there's a problem comes through and they just react to it, right? And what I really learned, like when I had like a serious traction in my portfolio, was when I realized that the greatest way to grow is when things come through. It's okay, how do I create a solution on this, or what is the solution? And even if I lost money or something happened or whatever during this time frame, it's like, okay, what was the lesson that I learned out of this thing? For one, I learned how to solve that problem, but for two, if I assessed it properly, I also learned how to preempt that problem so I didn't have it happen again. And that has paid dividends so many times over in my portfolio of, yes, I might have lost $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 here or there or whatever with different things that happen in the portfolio. It happens to all of us, right? It's all a journey. But learning and looking at it as exactly that glass half full. Okay, what learning can I take from this? Because the only loss we ever have in life is if we don't learn something from it. Otherwise, it's a lesson. And lessons are literally like, you'd be better off. It's, like they say, like you got to have a life littered with lessons and with learnings and all these sorts of things, because otherwise you're just going to be the norm, right? But if you're littered with all these things, you can then navigate all these things before they happen again. And then, yeah, man, that's how you win. Ultimately, you have to, fail forward. Like if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough, and that's not impressive. That doesn't impress anyone, So I love that, man. That's a great app to bring up for sure.
I like listening to the stories between like one dude who had like a $500 sort of maintenance item that popped up and he was losing his mind over it, and then some dude who had the tree fall on the house and his house got flooded and he was like, oh yeah, this sort of. It is what it is.
Guess that's what insurance is for.
Yeah. That was so cool.
Is that the one? The tree ripped the water main out of the ground and pointed it towards the house.
And he was flooded the house.
I was speaking to a client about that the other day and used it as an example. And I said, the guy was stoked. He got a brand new house. But the way he took it was so different. Because the question came was, what's the risk in investing? And I said, I'm very confident that your property is going to make money. That's not the risk. The risk is the human element, the tenants, and the stuff that happens that you can't plan for. And I gave that example. Like, who can forecast a tree ripping a water main out of the ground and pointing it at your house? That just doesn't happen.
Wish it happened a bit more often because then you get a fully renovated house paid by insurance. That's fucking amazing. Maybe that's the next manufactured cash flow strategy. We'll start a new business. We'll cut that bit. Producer, cut that bit. But no, I love it. And if you look at the flip side of it, like that conversation, that came from like that happening in the same week. And you had this one guy that had that happen. He was like, you know what, man, like it's all good. It's the positive, like, whatever. And he had the other guy that was like a $500 or $1,000 maintenance bill. And the property had gone up $100,000 in 12 months. And he was calling us about this thing. And I lost my mind. I absolutely lost my mind. Like, it was so lucky we don't have a physical office he came into, because I'd probably be in jail recording this right now rather than sitting in the Burley studio.
You did record I remember. You did record an 8-minute one or something. Never saw the light of day.
It's in the vault.
APS, no, it was buried, man. There's no vault. That thing was buried. I sent it around to a few of you. I go, is this all good to post this? And then everyone's like, no.
Probably not. Probably not a great idea.
Yeah, I was angry that night. Anyway, moving on. Bowers, I love it, mate. Very, very good, mate. I like it a lot. I would like to change tack, change speed, and move to Mr. Brendan Gagan. This summer, Brendan brings his favorite episodes to the table.
Here we go. Summer is here.
At December 26th, in cinemas only.
The head of education.
Head of education,
Self-proclaimed.
absolutely. Soon to be co-host.
He's running with that.
You're more than welcome.
Game over.
Just to clarify, those 100 emails I did receive were all family members. And I did prompt them, so you're good. Yeah, thanks, Mel.
That's a big family, right?
Yeah, we're good. My mum's one of 9.
Really?
Huge family. Yeah.
Wow.
So there you go. But no, let's jump in. So I wanted to put a blanket over all the investor apps because I know a lot of you guys, your favorite apps are the investor apps. And I've got a question. Like, Lukey's usually the stats man. I didn't even ask him about these stats, but there was 11 investor apps. Guess how many properties between those 11 people throughout 2024? I'll throw it to you guys. What do you reckon?
37.
Higher.
Wait, hang on. Yeah, don't even make a corner. Yeah, come on. Throw the numbers out. Go on. Quick.
50.
75.
58.
I'm going to say 87. I'm going to go big.
Oh, Sammy, so close. 91.
Wow.
Very close. Well, Kaz and Vanessa took 20 of them, you know what I mean? So I knew we were already, and then you had Aaron and Joe at a 9, you had Damon at a 9.
And
So I
that
was
is
like, here we
why
go.
he's the head of education. That is.
I was doing all this quick maths. I was like, I bet you guys go first. I'm working this out.
100%. But like obviously there's been more properties come into portfolios from earlier investor
Wow.
apps as well. So
91.
91. If you average them all out now, it'd be probably like over 110, 110. So like average 10 per investor app, 10 properties. That's
Wow.
so good.
That's massive.
Shout out.
Yeah, that's
to all the
crazy,
investor
man.
stories. Well
100%.
done.
Shout
Well
out.
done.
But that
Shout
isn't
out to
my
Bals.
favorite app.
Yeah,
shout out
jump back
Bals.
on as well.
Yes. Yeah,
So you've done a blanket favourite for all the investor apps.
No, I just wanted to throw that out there early. I reckon my
So you're also going to take the title of head of stats as well?
head of stats.
Ooh,
Here we go.
Lukey.
Oh, look at him.
Have it.
Lukey, you're redundant.
I have to tap into more family. Send those emails in, family, friends. Thank you so much. But I would say like the episode that I really like listening to this year, there was a lot of them. But the update on the APS mission, I know obviously there's some changes coming into the business, commercial, everything like that. But everything we do within this business and talk about as a team is to get those 500 people on the stage by 2030. So I feel like that was really powerful. And nobody else is really out there putting that out there to thousands of people because we stand by it. We're going hard. We're going to achieve it. So yeah, I really
that.
like that episode.
Yeah, I love that, man.
brilliant.
That's mad. That's mad. It's cool, you know, like literally the way my vein of thinking kind of went with this was so different. I think you preempted being the fact of like, there's going to be so many investor apps that people will have as favorite apps.
Absolutely.
But even the fact that like, all right, Bales had the double, but he had Ella's obviously as first, which is probably the way you called it. But then even like the glass half full, mindset investor app, and then jumping over to that as well, man. It's kind of cool to hear you guys kind of what resonates well with you guys, and I think it resonates. I know with you, Brenda. Like obviously you have obviously with the family man and what you're trying to create with them as well. I know Lukey. I was actually talking about Lukey before this about the both of you boys as well. Very similar sort of goals, and trajectories you're trying to put yourselves on for your family's sake as well. And I think it's so cool. So many people come from so many different walks of life, taking value out of different things. And man, the fact that that's your favorite, dude, I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've always got to have that purpose in life of like, why are you doing what you're doing? Where are you going? And I love that this business portrays that, puts that out there of this is where we're going. This is what we're doing. If people want to jump on board, love to have you on board. If they don't, that's cool too.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
There's a
really
lot
like
of
that mission.
conviction around that mission statement, which is awesome. And you look at all the competition, you don't really even know what they actually. I mean, what is their North Star? I don't really know. I mean, they're just trying to create more properties for people. But with what you're doing, Sammy, is very clear in the marketplace. And I think when you put yourself on the line and you put yourself to the sword and you say, this is what I'm going to do, come 2030, you either have or haven't.
100%. It's your Chinese friend that said it's a yes
tick
or a
the
no.
box. It's either
100%.
yes, did we do it or didn't we?
Yeah.
So no wonder you're working so hard and all of these different attributes of the business and all these different things to help clients get better. So I think it's a powerful thing from you and the team, and we're all witness to it and we're experiencing it. So
Yeah. I love it, man. I think one of the biggest things, a couple of clients actually came up and said it to Morgs, or Morgs having a conversation with a couple of people, and they said it's funny, like everyone else is just kind of like out there trying to buy property. Like they're just buying properties for clients, which I find is really funny because I still believe by an absolute country mile, we're way in front of everyone else with just buying properties and selecting growth locations and the actual execution piece. I still think we're better than everyone else in the game at it. But that's not even what we do. Like that's what all everyone else does. They just focus on the buying piece, right? And okay, we'll talk about strategy, blah, 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 all the rest of the bullshit. We literally like map people's portfolios properly, and then the regular check-ins and the way that we actually map and strategize and then build these things in the portfolio check-ins. The way we do it, it's not just like a fugazi thrown out, this is what we're going to do. We literally do this and we map it every single time. And then we still deliver over and above everyone else every fucking time with the deal quality as well. So, man, I love it. It G's me up so much. So, like, that's actually what we're known for. But what we do is so much bigger than that. And yeah, man, people were saying, what are they saying to you, Morgs? We're not a buyers agency. Like we're like a genuine wealth creation company. We're not just a buyers agency, even though that is what we are. Yeah. I won buyers agent of the year, you know what I mean? Like that is what we are known for. But the people that are actually in the circle, like the people that are actually in APS and school of property and all the rest of it, They know the difference. They know the way we
Well, the
operate.
strategy
with this.
doesn't stack up. A lot of these other people wouldn't be able to say that. Retire.
They've never done it, man.
But
how do you
also-
do it? How do you help 500 people do it if you've never done it yourself?
But also, their strategy just doesn't stack up. I remember having a
How
call
do you
with
drive from here to Perth? Without Google Maps, you have no fucking idea how to do it. But if you've already done it a few
100%.
times, you know how to do it.
100%.
If you've done it for your whole life, you know how to do it.
You'll crack up at this. Earlier this week, had a call with someone who was using using another BA, and the advice on their strategy session was, we're going to buy the first property now, and then in 3 years' time, we'll get the second one.
3 years?
Yeah.
What are we doing for 3 years, bro?
That's the point.
What, has he got to save the next deposit? Is that what it is?
And I said, what
3
was the
years?
strategy around it? They just said, well, we just get the first one now, and then we'll revisit it in 3 years. I just went, how are people giving that kind of advice?
Bro,
It's
you won't
just
even be
absolute-
alive in 3 years. You do strategies to
I
do
know,
the
that's
call.
why I'm in a rush. That's why I'm in a rush. But that just goes to show
years?
why people wouldn't have that North Star of 500 people by 2030, because the strategy just doesn't stack up.
Bro, that is crazy.
It
3
is
years.
crazy. Anyway, Brendo, what
are they
about
doing?
lifetime?
Who was that?
One of your close mates.
So favorite of all time would have to be the recent one, the end of year wrap up on the stage at the summit in front of
Oi!
700 people. That was a really good episode. I loved every second of that.
It's funny you should mention that.
Weren't you on the stage?
No.
Oh, you
no,
weren't on for that one? Oh, that was
No,
a
I
Q&A.
was. Yeah, I
he
was
was.
on.
He put himself in it. No, but how was that for you? In front of
He goes, no, was it? It's like, yes, you were.
In front of 700 people.
Yeah, it was mad.
How did you find that?
Oh, it was so good. I just loved, like I've had some good feedback, not about my part. They said if we cut my part out, it would have been epic. But it was more around like how we do in terms of like getting into new locations. We've had a lot of conversations around that, how Sammy's a test guinea pig, stuff like that. People just loved it. So
Yeah.
getting heaps of good
That's
feedback
actually
about
so
that.
funny because literally we did that. Like that was yesterday with one of the new locations we just entered that Morgs and Bales are in. And the first deal came through. And Lukey's like, Lukey straight away, he's like, it's going to be what my trust name is. He's going to be buying this. And I hadn't seen it. We were in podcast, Jimmy and I. And I came out and I reviewed the deal. I hadn't even seen Lukey's text. Actually, they came through at the same time, right?
Exact
same time.
We
And I was
literally
like, yeah,
said
no
at
worries,
the
I'll buy
same
that.
time. I was like, first deal, new location, guinea pig Sammy, straight in there.
Exactly. So I didn't even see Lukey typing. It was in our little group text of with Bales Morgs, Ella and I, and Lukey. And at exactly the same time that I literally wrote in, yep, no worries. Kel will get you the details. It's this trust for me buying in that brand new location as well. And it's mad, man. Like I get so G'd up when we enter these new locations and we spend the time there and all the rest of it. It's exciting, man. You know what I mean? It's seriously exciting what we're doing here. And I think like people ask me, because I had all the mentoring calls over the last couple of weeks as well, like the new mentoring clients that we brought on at the summit and the boot camp. And yeah, man, like this stuff just juices us up so much. You know what I mean? Like getting this right, man, giving these people these big wins, strategizing portfolios properly. You know what I mean? With like a real tangible way of doing this thing. It's man, you can't beat this stuff. You know what I mean? You literally can't beat it. So yeah, dude, it's mad.
I think the coolest thing too is you can actually stand behind what you say when you say that we don't let clients buy in a market unless you buy first. You're always doing the first deal. The client doesn't go in first. You're the guinea pig on every
100%.
new market. So being able to stand behind that and it actually happens every single time is really, really cool.
And that should
I'm
be
with
the
you,
conviction for clients. We're not buying clients in new markets. When I'm on the call, I'm like, we're not testing you out. You're buying in an established market that we are very confident on, and we've been buying in. So you're just replicating a very successful practice based on a lot of research.
Look, how long does it take? Because you and I, you obviously sit in our location research meetings as well internally. How long does it take for me to approve a location? How many times have I got to be like convinced, and then I got to go out and do it, and then we convince, and then I get on the ground? Like how long does it take for a location to get approved? Minimum.
Sometimes 6 to 12 months.
But minimum, what's the fastest you've ever seen? 3 to 4.
3, 4, 5
Yeah.
months. But it's back and forth.
There's so many things.
so many things that we have to be certain on before we'd ever put a client into a market. It's not just a map on the wall and
This looks good. It's not like, this looks good, or someone else is talking about it.
This looks good. I heard this on a forum somewhere. Let's just chuck people in there.
Yeah.
It's not like that. So yeah, it is very well thought out. The other thing is it's not only just new markets. We're also analysing markets we've been in. You know, when's the right time to exit and then move
Constantly
those clients
assessing
into
it.
new markets, you know? So There's so much more that goes into it than people actually realize.
And to put it in perspective, like this is weekly meetings that we have, on this, on existing locations, past locations, and future locations where we're analyzing all these to make the most accurate decision for our clients, because it's all a huge part of it. Like, when do we stop buying in a market to allow it to still have enough of a run? When are we exiting to allow our clients to bank maximum profits? And then where are we entering next? Like, where is presenting the best opportunities? And it's funny, man, because I'll analyze hard for again, let's say 3 to 6 months on average a location, typically minimum 3 before we pull the trigger. And then when it clicks in my mind that the decision is being made and I buy that first couple and we test them, they go through, then I'm just all in. I just go hard. Like, obviously myself first, just go bang, smack a few, and then we go all in.
The other thing that's cool is that location research team meeting weekly that Sammy's talking about is a non-negotiable. We will reschedule appointments and make sure it happens, because that is a key focus of the business and where our clients are going to go. It's something that's taken very seriously, so people can put weight behind what actually happens behind closed doors, because it happens without fail. Rain, hail, or shine. We'll move other stuff to make sure that continues. So
Well, the rubber hits the road, Sammy, based on the results, and obviously you want to get that right. I love that you chose that particular episode, because I was listening to that on the plane on the way up here the other day, and what blew me away was the standout performance. I would say best on ground in that summit, and that was definitely Morgan Holmes. We spoke about this, Sammy.
Yeah, Morgs killed it. She was the sniper at the end of the range.
She might feel a little bit uncomfortable when there's 5 people. When there was 700 people in the room, she was completely comfortable.
Yeah, she
killed it.
Thank you.
On that note, let's move on to Morgs. I want to hear your points. How did you feel talking to the summit as well? Because you smashed that. I had so many people. I was obviously sitting next to you, and I thought you absolutely destroyed it from that perspective as well. You smashed it out of the park.
It was kind of easier being on stage in front of so many people than literally this right now, or just you and I sometimes even.
Why is that?
I don't know. It was
You spread the pressure.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the year before the summit, your session was one of the most popular ones. People were pissing themselves laughing.
Oh, at the summit at the start of the year. Yeah, in April.
That we did. Yeah. Because there was something about
she was ripping
a car, or she was ripping into Sammy about, you haven't bought you a car or something?
Yeah, moving on from that. Podcast apps, Morgs. Let's talk through favorites from this year.
I can't pick between 2 for obvious reasons, which is Bailey and Ella's episode.
Yeah, you can. Which is the best?
No, I can't
Which
pick.
is the favorite?
I will not pick.
Now,
you told me it was
both of
Ella's.
them are in your pod, in your team. Is that why we've selected them?
No, I think I've seen it inspire so many people as well. Even at the summit, and so with the BA chat that we have where names are going in with deals getting accepted, the amount of people I've seen that are mutual connections, all from all different kind of ranges of life. My PT from when I was in Wollongong has now bought through us. He was at the summit. Shout out to Riley. There's just been, I think there's the reach that their episodes have had and gotten to so many different people, and I can see that they're now committing into buying and getting on the journey. I think that's been just such a exciting thing to know that they've impacted a huge range of people.
Yeah. You might have impacted ute sales, because everyone sold their utes on the back of your episode.
No, it hasn't gone up, bro. They've gone down. The value's gone down.
No one's buying them anymore because Bale's episode.
Yeah. There was a guy that went up to Bales. He came up to me earlier on at the summit as well. He'd been talking to his son for 2 years about investing. His son earns really good money in a good role. Shout out to Les Hardis.
Les,
all these shout outs.
He sent that episode about Bailey to his son. His son's selling the Mustang, the Harley, getting in. 2 years of trying to get through. One episode done. Nobody wants to listen to their parents right there.
Wow.
Yeah. That's it.
All right. So we've got
power, man.
We've
I
got
love that.
Allers and Bales as your favourite all time.
Oh no.
Well, she's on the
Surely
fence.
not. Is it really?
I think it would.
You can have a
Go on,
couple.
yeah, say it.
It would be them. It would be both of their episodes.
Oh
Even
no!
all time.
What's that? I thought it was that one.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm sitting next to for all the listeners
This is
tuning in.
I just really liked something that we've added. This is something else.
Okay.
Something that we've added into the
Okay.
podcast this year, which was getting Tim on from CoreLogic.
Big Timmy Lawless.
Oh, the news bulletins.
Big shout out to Timmy Lawless and his son Finn, who tunes in. When I spoke to Timmy pre poddy on the one that we recorded a week, I think it was earlier this week for the Bulletin. Thank you once again, Big Timmy, for tuning in. But he was telling me that he was literally, his son was doing a road trip up the coast with his mates, and they called him, and he goes, "Dad, you're on the poddy with Sammy on Scouting Australia." And he's like, "Yeah, I do it all the time." And he's like, "You never told me." And here he is listening to Scouting Australia. And then Timmy comes on.
Wow.
And maybe you could tell he was a bit chuffed, and he was he was pretty happy with it. So honestly, it's an absolute pleasure having him on. He's such a wealth of knowledge, and he just gets access to so much data. Like, he's the head of research at CoreLogic, you know what I mean? Like, he literally is the godfather of data in Australia, right?
Well, that speaks volumes for the content that is produced here, that if his son is listening to this particular podcast, I mean, obviously he gets access to good info. So yeah, that's awesome. So do you reckon those two podcasts would be your favorite for the year or all time? So you could split them.
I think it would be their stories, and maybe like Paul Carpier's as well. His story was just so emotional, and like I didn't even know so much about him until I heard that story. So I think
the fiery from Sydney. Yep. One of the nicest guys. I know he's one of your faves.
He's a champion. Yeah. From fighting fires to from fighting fires to the 4 property portfolio.
Yeah. New dad as well.
Yeah. Big shout out to Big Paulie. Absolute champion.
Yeah.
All right, great, Morgs. Anything else that you want to add?
It was just the so Tim and also the news bulletins. I really like those this year. I think like with all the legislation changes, having that update coming out every week with things that are going on, inflation, interest rates, it's just been a really cool thing to add in. And it's a quick listen.
Did Morgs just say inflation?
She did.
Yes.
Have you ever heard that word
I'm
come out
chuffed,
of my mouth?
Morgs. I'm chuffed. That's very,
I don't even know how to spell it.
You're speaking Lukey's love language. There you go.
Yeah, keep talking to me.
Oh, no. Get it out.
Anyway,
Dose him down.
moving on. You know what I love, but like in all reality as well, I actually loved doing those episodes because at first I was like, oh yeah, like maybe I'll just add this into something a bit different. And then, man, when I started doing it, I loved it because like I was just getting all this different information that like I'm so engrossed in everything else that I do that I was missing like just little updates, the sort of things that came through that were relevant to clients' portfolios. And it wasn't like, obviously it was enough being picked up in the team that we were doing it, but that was staying enough on top of it. But I really think doing those, man, and doing those weekly, I was loving it because I was getting this constant hit of like information about everything going on. I loved it, man. Like Lukey and I were having good chats, and obviously getting Big Timmy on, every sort of 5 to 6 weeks in the RBA to get together. It was really good, man. Just to keep that real pulse check on the market this year as well. And yeah, man, it's funny that the downloads compared to like long form apps, so your standard sort of long like your longer episodes, other than your investor apps, which obviously they're everyone loves them. They obviously rate the highest. But then most of the other episodes, the news bulletins are typically probably set at probably like 75% of those, probably around about 70% downloads compared to your normal sort of style apps, right? And I find that funny because for one, they're a shorter app, but for two, it's just like a bite-sized hit of what's actually going on in the marketplace. And man, it's just like there's so much value like that people should be tuning and listening to. If you're serious about your property investing, most of them, they range between 5 to 15 minutes, you know what I mean? Once a week of what's going on. And you should be constantly upskilling and learning as much as you can about the market across Australia as a whole, especially if you're actively investing. Like it's an absolute no-brainer. You should be listening to this. But yeah, man, even if you're coming through and you're trying to learn as much as you can, the more of this that you pick up, especially those little bite-sized apps, you know what I mean? I used to do three topics in a thing. I keep it to 2, keep them very relevant, direct. The key points that go into it, man, for me, they're no-brainers. And I actually really enjoy doing them because they keep giving me a really good update from that side as well.
I'm actually quite shocked that they're less.
For
all the reasons you said, in my brain, I'm thinking, it's so quick and it's so timely and it's relevant. Like, why wouldn't you be listening to that?
Some people, I guess, like, I think that's why the investor apps go off so much because the story being told. And when you and I jump into other topics and Lukey as well, and we fire up about other things, it's a bit more banter, different things. This is more, I guess, like straight to the point and everything. But at the end of the day, everyone should be treating their portfolio like a business. And if you're an investor, this is a little like your little temp check for you every single week of keeping you updated. Man, you need to stay on top of this stuff. So
that should be a priority for everyone this year.
Yeah.
Stay in tune, stay up to date with those news bulletins.
100%, man. 100%. Mate, moving on, I'd like to jump to big Lukey Tucson. Lukey. Mate, you're up. Do you want to shot of vodka first? Bit of Red Brew?
I had one before we got in. What do you mean? I've already one ahead.
Another one.
Nah, we'll have another
What do you got,
one later.
Lukey?
My favorite one was Ella, but it's been unpacked. So we're gonna move on because I had two prepared, Bailey.
Nice.
My favorite was Aaron and Joe. 9 properties, 2 million equity in 2 years.
Yeah.
Boom.
Massive.
Great fellas.
That's
From
pretty
Melbourne.
Really
The
nice
boys,
guys.
champions.
They are, legend clients. I've worked with them a bit. Obviously, they work mostly with Sammy, but I've had some really good chats with them before. But 9 properties in 2 years, 2 million net equity. That's massive.
Yeah.
And just their story and how they were unpacking it. And, I felt like the podcast did tell a story as you went through. You go through so much stuff as an investor to actually get to these levels. No one just wakes up and goes, oh, I got 2 million net equity. I did 9 properties in 2 years. Oh, that was easy. No one has said that.
No.
So, there's a lot that goes into it. So I get a lot out of the investor apps. Obviously, we deal with not only just the investor apps you hear about on the podcast, but investor apps of clients on a day-to-day basis.
Of course.
We hear their stories every single day, multiple times, So yes, there's a number that actually, hit the podcast. We could do investor apps every week
Yeah,
if we
100%.
really wanted to.
Yeah.
But to see Aaron and Joe hit their goals and and they're going to continue to grow the portfolio and hit bigger targets. So that was my favorite of the year for sure.
Interesting, man. That's mad. Yeah, I love that with the boys. For one, they're absolutely champion blokes. Like I've really enjoyed working with them for the last few years. And for two, man, like they had the ability to go hard. They both make decent money. Man, and they just they went hard. They followed my advice. They trusted what I did. And when I told them where to buy, they bought. I sent them a property, bang, they'd buy it. They go back through, get the pre-approvals. Very active investors as well, not just sitting on the sidelines, resting on their laurels and the rest of it. Yeah. They went hard, man. So, massive hats off and respect to them. They're definitely up there with some of my favorite apps as well, man. Love it, Lukey. Man, what about favorite episodes of all time? Favorite episode of all time?
My favorite episode in the whole 2 years of Scaling Show podcast is the Tara tribute episode.
Again?
Yep.
Still
my favorite. It was my
Wow.
favorite when we did it last time. I've actually listened to it again recently over the past sort of probably 2-3 months. It just gives so much context. In the world we live in, things move fast. We have very high-paced, fast jobs. Clients have fast jobs. It's a reminder for people to slow down and appreciate things in their life because, everyone's got goals. We're trying to hit goals, do things in our life, but we also have to remember to slow things down and appreciate, what's in our lives. So it was my favorite when we did it last time. It's my favorite now. So Sammy, that was a really good app. And the vulnerability you showed in actually showing people that and actually talking about it is something that I really appreciate. So that's still my favorite. I actually think it'll be my favorite for a while. So stop asking me.
No, I appreciate it, man. We'll make sure not to get you back on next year. Man, it's honestly, I think it's good. When Jimmy and I were listening to it this morning, it's funny because that was Jimmy's favorite last year, and then it was yours as well. And I think it's funny, man, because not funny. I think it just hits home. You know what I mean? Like we all go hard, man. We all work our guts out. We all, do as much as we can from an investing perspective. But sometimes we need to put things into check. You know what I mean? And take a good hard look at what we're doing as well. Make sure we're not neglecting certain things in life. Because, man, I'm all for going as hard. I don't. In all honesty, I don't personally know anyone that goes harder than I go. There would be people out there that go harder than me, but especially since that event, I've tried to make sure that we put enough time aside to at least enjoy different things in life as well. Because man, otherwise, if you're just going hard after it all the time, all of a sudden you wake up and you're Jimmy's age and you're almost fucking dead, and you haven't enjoyed it.
Well timed. You
haven't enjoyed enough of life. You know what I mean? And so I think it's man, it's an episode that really hits home and goes hard with that. And dude, it's not very often that I will be vulnerable from that side of things as well. And I think it was, exactly like you say. I think it's something that's probably everyone's worth listening to at least once a year to give themselves a reminder of, for one, what it's all about, and not to let. It's a journey, right? Like this whole thing's a journey. You got to enjoy. You can't just constantly be looking at the back and I'll be happy when I do this or do this or do this or whatever. And I know Jimmy sometimes asks you're actually happy because you're doing this sort of shit. I go, man, I'm happy. You know what I mean? I'm happy, and I think that put a lot of things into perspective for me when it happened. And you have to make sure you're enjoying the journey and the process. And it doesn't mean that Jimmy and I recorded an episode yesterday, which is going to be released, the first ep that will be released next year. And it was all about setting your intentions for 2025. And it doesn't mean that, like, if you're young or you're starting out and you need to sacrifice and save hard, and maybe for the first 6 to 12 months you do need to effectively slave yourself to something to get yourself in that starting position to start, right? To actually get going. It doesn't mean that there aren't going to be times like that in your life, but it just doesn't mean that your entire life needs to be like that, you know? And I think putting that into perspective, man, is critical.
And I think as well, like where this episode will be released, you know, we're leading into the Christmas period. Sit down and have a look at, you know, what you've done in the year. You know, yes, you've, you know, built portfolio out, you've bought properties, you've done really well, you've succeeded in your career. But, you know, take the time to enjoy your family over Christmas, have a recharge, have a break, and get back into the new year. That poddy in the new year, be mad, set some goals, and kick on from there. But yeah, favorite one. Happy with that.
Sammy, if I can just ask you,
Lukey.
and feel free to cut this if we need to, but
And we're back, guys.
Now, and in the efforts of being vulnerable, but you found it really difficult to listen to that podcast. Just curious, just if you feel comfortable, but why because I know you wanted to listen to it when you had the Ferrari and you haven't been able to listen to it yet. Is there anything that's stopping you, or you don't want to feel a certain thing?
Man, I think in all reality is the only thing that's ever in my life made me cry is losing her. I've probably never, other than Morgs, I've never cared about anything the way I cared about that dog. And it put a lot of things into perspective, losing her. And I think I go back sometimes through the final post that I ever put up of her. It fucking hurts, man. You know what I mean? And I don't know if I can ever listen to that because of how real and raw I was soon after it happened. And it was hard, man. Like, it's still hard when I think about it. Like, we got Bear now. Like, I love her, our little shepherd now. But man, I'm a reasonably tough individual. I don't take shit, man. I'm a pretty hard person, which has been built up over a long time of doing a lot of hard shit. But yeah, it's the same as Lukey with his kids. Like, we've had some chats around different things that you do if anything ever happened or was to come between them, and it was the same for me with her. And I think the fact that, like, man, she was running on the beach, the happiest thing you've ever seen a week before, to then losing her. Again, we joke about, like, it's lucky when I'm not in vicinity of people when certain things happen. It was lucky I wasn't in the country when that happens, because I was told that she would be fine. You know what I mean? That we had a certain amount of time on our side. So having that time to cool off before I got back in Australia was probably a great thing. Again, I'm not kidding about that. I probably would be in jail if I was in Australia.
Just because you're so emotional and obviously you can't control. Yeah.
You fucking get told that you got 12 to 18 months left with your pup and you're on the eve of flying out, like or like a couple of days before flying out. And it's like, it's okay, but all these meds will slow down. Should be sweet. And I literally said to Morgs, like I said to Morgs, I don't know if we should leave. I don't know if we should fly overseas. And she was the same. She's like, I'm not going to make this decision for her. It's for you. And we were gone it was fucking 10 days it was supposed to be gone for. First break we'd had in like 9 months. And I'm like, she's on all the meds. It looked like she was okay. And yeah, man, they said to her, we had like minimum 12 to 18 months. And I was upset at that. She was 8.5, man. And I was like, I wanted to kill someone when I heard that. And I was like, look, we've booked this whole thing. We've been waiting all this time to sort of do it. Everything looks like she's okay. My parents were up as well, so they were looking after her. It wasn't like we were just leaving her in like a kennel or something. You know what I mean? Like she was being looked after. And yeah, man, we just made this. I just said to Morgs, I said, we're going to go do this. It's 10 days. And when we get back, I'm not going to travel until we lose it. Like, we'll stay in Australia. When we travel, we'll travel with her in Australia. We'll go around, we'll do these sorts of things. We'll just have the best time we can for what time we have left with her. 4 days later, I'd lost her. And yeah, man, it was like, I don't have kids, so I've never had anything that has felt as close as what I've had with her. But she's been through everything with me, man. She was with me when I was fucking poor, man. She was with me when I was rich, man. She didn't give a fuck. She could not care. All she wanted to do was be with me. You ask anyone. Like, when I was around, I was bang. She was straight at my feet or like right next to me all the time. Yeah, it was a very, very close bond. And yeah, man, it was. I've tried to start it, and I don't know. I just haven't. To this point, I haven't been able to sort of do it. And I feel like I kind of. I'm not like get over it sort of thing. Like, I'm closer to getting over it, but it's like the reason we kind of go through this is it's like it puts things in serious perspective when you look back and you're like, fuck, I was sure. Dude, she was an 8.5-year-old shepherd, so happy.
She looks so
healthy.
young too.
Bro, she had no grey on her face.
Nothing.
No gray on her face.
I was surprised when you said she was 8 because she looks so young.
I know, man.
Yeah.
I know. And like, that's what I think caught me so off guard. Because I always said to Morgs, I feel like I'm going to get 20 years out of her. No one ever gets 20 out of a shepherd. I was like, I feel like I'm going to get 20 years out of her. You know what I mean? And like, she was so fit, happy, healthy, man. And like, they can't tell you if they're in pain. You know what I mean? So like, I think like when I looked back on that, and I was so furious at myself that I'd left. Because you just think when someone tells you that they're a fucking expert and they got 12, 18, 24 months, you know, that they've got to live, and you lose them in 4 days. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so ropeful at myself. Like, I just thought about it. I'm like, oh, man, that was so stupid. But you got off someone else's advice. And yeah, man, it's like, it's actually funny. I don't regret anything in my life except for that decision, because I wasn't with her at the end. You know what I mean? And that fucking eats me up, man. That eats me up. So yeah, it put a lot of things into perspective. Yeah, never forego or like, you know, overlook these sorts of things. And yeah, man, working hard, sacrifice is all part of building for a better life, but it's also always within check, within reason. Yeah, it always has to be, to make sure that you're living the journey as well, not just focus on the destination, because the destination's great, man. But at the end of the day, you got to live that whole way through it as well.
Mate, that's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that with us. I know that doesn't come easy for you to do that. And the time will come. It might not come to listen to that episode. I don't think it makes any difference if you listen to it or not, because clearly there's a very, very big, deep, heartfelt, you know, she's always going to have a place in your heart. Yeah. And but I think the reason why I wanted to bring that up is to really bring this home as to what are we actually doing. Yeah. Like, we all have a laugh, we all want to buy and do this, but at the end of the day, what's important to you? That's why you're doing what you're doing. And you said it best, keep check of what's really important. Yeah, 100%. In life.
It's always going to be a mix, man. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to enjoy shit on the way through as well.
Yeah.
And I say to Morgs all the time, like, not all the time, but I've said it before when I get in my dark moments about that, which is rare. I try and avoid thinking too much about it. But I was like, you know, I'm worth a lot now. I would trade it all to get it back. You know what I mean? Or to get even an extra year, because I know I'd make it back. You know what I mean? Money's money. Like, you can, if you're good at what you do, you know what you do, and you're willing to work hard, you always make it back. Yeah, I'd give a lot to get. I'd give a lot to get a day back with her. Put that into perspective. You know what I mean? Like, don't take those things for granted. Even just like the little times. You know what I mean? Like, I'm saying this. I'm probably not the right person to say this, but like, be present. You know what I mean? Like, it's yeah. It's probably a great time to talk about this heading into the Christmas season as well.
Well, because we did talk about also earlier today
having
the
cars
break and stuff with your old man. I don't know if you want to, maybe we won't talk about it.
No,
I was just saying.
Well,
I said to Sammy when we were driving back from the gym,
and to put this into perspective, I think. No, actually, sorry. I'll let you say it first, and then I'll make my comment at the end.
Just you know, when Sammy and I, when we're talking, we obviously, like with you guys, you talk about all sorts of stuff, and we talk about life and just all sorts of things. And we're talking about cars. And there's a car that Sammy wanted to buy, and I was like, dude, well, you can afford that car. Why don't you buy it? It's like, oh, I don't know, this and that. And we just ran through some different things. It's like, what are you waiting for, dude? Like, if this is something that you really want, you've obviously done it before. Get rid of the other one and get that one. What are you waiting for? And he's like, yeah, no, you're probably right. And then I said, and are you going to let your dad drive the car? Because I always wind him up. So I'm like, every time his old man comes, I say, did you take him for a spin? Yeah. And I go, did you let him drive? He goes, nah. I'm like, so it's an ongoing joke. It's an ongoing joke. And then when he said about this particular car, he goes, oh, my old man would love that. He'd absolutely love it. And I said, would you let him drive it? Nah. It's like, nah, what do you mean? No, actually, no. At first you said, no, maybe he was talking about the other car.
Oh, no, actually, no. I did say no. Yeah. But it's 1,000 horsepower sitting in 1,000 kilos.
Because he said, it's 1,000 horsepower. You know, he won't be able to control. I said, he's going to be driving it in a 40-kilometer zone. What is he going to be doing? We're not rally car. He's
not me.
He's not you. And so then he's like, nah, you're probably right. And it's like, yes, next time your dad comes up, give him the keys. I said, even better. Yeah. Why don't you go back to the studio, take the 2 keys out, ask your old man, which one does he want to drive, the Ferrari or the Lambo? Let him pick. And then he thinks you're going to jump in and go, no, I'm taking the other one. We're going to go for a spin together. I said, that's sick. I said, that is an experience that you will never ever get back.
And you know what I said to Jimmy? And this is where, like, people got to realize, like, when I take the shit out of Jimmy, like, I love Jimmy like a brother. Like, anyone that doesn't realize that or know that, I won't say what I think of you. But, like, in reality, well, I give you so much shit. We always feed each other.
Mates,
but 100%. But at the end of the day, it's just like, you're my ultimate temp check. You know what I mean? Like, because you've got the years on me, you've got the experience on me, and like sometimes I need that temp check of being like, and I thought about it, and I'm like, man, you know what? And because you said to me, you go, man, even if the worst of the worst happened and he crashed it,
That's right.
have you got the money fixed? I'm like, yeah, of course. You know what I mean? And so it's like, if you look back, or if he looks back on his deathbed, or I look back on my deathbed, actually, it's probably more me. If I look back on my deathbed and my old boy's probably passed away 30 years before me, 40 or whoever knows, whatever, and I look back and I go,
you never know that, right?
100%. Exactly, man. You know what I mean? And like, you look back and you go, fuck, like what's an extra $1 in the bank account with experiences like that? You know what I mean? Like you legitimately can't buy shit. Like, okay, if he crashes it, okay, you can buy it because you're going to replace it or whatever. I mean, it's insurance and
It'd be
everything
a great
anyway.
story anyway if he did crash it.
But you know
It
what?
would be a very good body.
To the back of Sam.
You know what? It's, like, it's so true, man. Of like looking back, it's the experiences that you have with people. Like that's the shit you remember. It's not the extra $1 million in the bank account or the extra 10 mil or 100 mil or whatever it is. It's not that. It's the journey. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, sweet. When I'm 40 and I've got 7 supercars in the garage and like, okay, which one do we want to take out for the day? And I'll still drive. Like, no, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, what can we enjoy and experience now? And man, that's what's important. You know what I mean? And like, that's what I think so much of life should be about. So,
That's good.
man, no, it's cool. It's great. And I massively appreciate for being that for me as well. Because I need it, man. I need it. Because sometimes it's hard.
We all do. I mean, we all do. It's not, no one's any better than anyone else. Everyone's going through their own issues and demons and things that they're thinking about and decisions they're making, trying not to be too caught up with work. It's easier to give advice than to take it yourself.
Yeah.
But I just thought with you, especially when it comes to that, because you always talk about your dad, how much he loves supercars.
Well, he's a mechanic by trade. He worked on supercars when he was younger.
What better? And I said to Sammy, I said, imagine your old man when he goes home and he's telling all of his mates wherever he's at the pub or whoever he's talking to, oh, I drove the, how proud would
you
he-
know what's so funny? He's it's so funny, right? Everyone has different tastes on things. He's always been a Ferrari man, the same as me. And then he rocked up, he saw the Lamborghini. He's like, holy fuck. He wasn't even looking at the Ferrari. The Ferrari was next to it. He did not even look at it. He wasn't even looking at it. He was looking at Lamborghini. He's going, oh my God. And he's always said to me, oh, before you ever buy one of these cars when you can afford it, just go test drive one because they're uncomfortable as fucking. You never want to drive a piece of shit. You know what I mean? You'll hate driving it. All this shit. He gets in, he's in the Lambo because he's like, oh, so which one do you want to take? And he's like, what? He's like, what? Yeah, like he didn't even look at the Ferrari at this point, right? This was when it was matte. This is before I'd taken the wrap off. And man, we took it out and we drove out to the farm. We drove back. It's an hour out, an hour back sort of thing. We're there, and he's like, "Man, I can't believe how comfy this is. It's so nice." And like he was absolutely loving it. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's funny, man. You know, and exactly say when I get him up next, he doesn't listen to the poddy, so he won't even know this is coming.
Nah.
But next time he comes up, we'll
Well,
take
we
him out.
look forward to revisiting that because I dare say that moment will happen between now and next year.
Yeah.
And it'll be great. I mean, even if we don't revisit it here, but
Yeah.
for you personally
Yeah.
and sharing that with your dad, I mean,
Yeah.
dude, that's what life's
You know what
about.
the funniest thing about how much they are not in touch with what I do is when I opened the garage roller door when I went to show him the Ferrari. He hadn't been here my parents hadn't been here for like a year, and I brought him to take him out in the Ferrari, and I opened the door and the bull shut. The Lambo was sitting there, and he's like, "The fuck is this?" And I'm like, "What do you want to take out?" And he goes, whose is this? Okay, that's mine. He's like, "What?" And then he must have thought I'd sold the Ferrari because he didn't even notice it. So shut up, Brenda.
But that's
Yeah, you
beautiful,
do,
Sammy.
don't you?
Thank you for sharing that. We've sort of gone on a little bit of a. But that's the great thing about this
We've
final.
gone on, mate. That's what the bull sharks are going for a bull run. But mate, I appreciate that. It was a good little run, mate. Jumping into you and your stuff, mate. I'd love to know favorite ep of the year, favorite ep of all time.
Well, favorite ep of the year, I'm going to take the liberties of just doing a few different honourable mentions because being part of the podcast.
So you're giving a couple of like second, third places.
Yeah. Honourable mentions. And I think a lot of these ones were very much due to a lot of Lukey and my brain. You know, we thought a lot about different things and different ideas. So the common investor mistakes was, I love that.
Which one, all three or one in particular?
The beginner one especially because
we were talking about that for a specific
people
reason,
getting
huh?
started.
Yeah.
And I remember speaking to people and they're going, every point that you brought up, I would have done that. I was going to do that.
Yep.
So the common investor mistakes was really
Beautiful.
good.
That's left field. I like that.
Myth busting series. Love that one.
Bit of ziz?
Yes.
Bit of ziz?
There was.
Myth
Dispelling the myths. I really enjoyed those ones. They were awesome.
New myth busting coming to town.
Now,
Send me
in
you.
in
December
terms-
26. Unboxing and release.
There's a for my top episode. It really, there's probably out of two.
Tails is dead. Look how ready he is.
That's so funny.
Out of two. And I'm going to give you one technical one
Okay.
and one success story. So the technical one, and the reason why it seems so simple, but investing is simple if you have the right approach and you have the right strategy, right?
Is that an episode?
So, well, if you stop interrupting, I'll be able to tell you.
Sorry, it's the longest link
So
ever.
the episode that was one of my favorites because it changed my life. And it's, should you use a buyer's agent? Now, I know that might seem simple.
Okay.
But for a lot of people, that one decision will change the direction of their life and the trajectory of their wealth creation just by deciding whether to use a buyer's agent or not. And don't underestimate how powerful that is because everyone's looking for the magical, in the sky of something that's going to change their life.
Say the
It's
word.
very
They're looking
simple.
for the...
So should you use a buyer's agent? But in terms of the one episode and because I love him and he's been a great, being able to share in the success story.
Inflation verse.
And the reason why I loved it so much is because of the story and knowing the backstory. And last year, my favorite was Morgan's episode. This year was Bale's because to be able to see the journey that you have gone through on the back of what Morgan's done and now to see what your mum has done, it just inspired, it gave me tingles being there and being able to share in the journey, but also the amount of people that have loved it and got so much out of it. I just think that story to me, and because I know you and I love you you're an absolute legend, I really enjoyed it. So thanks for sharing the story.
I appreciate that.
So that's probably in terms of the year.
Beautiful.
All time, well, Sammy, I mean, do we need to? I mean, I stole Lukey's thunder last year. He stole my thunder.
I was getting first.
But I do have a second one, which I think is...
So the first is still...
Well, again, for all time,
Yeah.
speaking about Tara, and we just touched
Tara's
on it before,
tribute,
and we can see how powerful that is.
Yeah, 100%.
That clearly is the all-time best. But the second one, going from a technical perspective, was all around the rent vesting. And how long should I rent vest before I buy my primary place of residence? It was in November, I think, last year, 2023, with JT. For a lot of people, that will change the trajectory of their life as well. So there's a couple there. I just thought I'd throw a couple in there.
It was like when we did the summit sesh, right? And I broke down rent vesting versus,
I'm never going to buy a house ever again.
Yeah.
Because after listening to that, why would you do it?
Why would you?
Why
It's
would
crazy,
you?
bro. It's crazy. That breakdown was wild.
You're actually getting ahead. The nicer place that you want to rent is on the back of your investing.
100%.
Why would you ever? So
And the
And
numbers,
so much flexibility as well. You know
the
what I mean?
numbers didn't lie as well.
No.
Like it's very hard to go against data and numbers when you see it that clearly. But yeah,
Normally, Brenda's favorite expression is the hips don't lie, but in this case, the numbers did not lie.
both of them. Both of them. The numbers don't lie. We always say that, right? There's no emotion in the numbers. There's no emotion in the numbers. So, mate, there's a bit of a summary from my...
Now, Lukey knows a couple of stats on the back end, which those episodes will actually interest. They're very interesting that you brought those up as favorite episodes,
Okay.
mate. So very, very interesting from that end. But
he wasn't even told anything. He
wasn't.
doesn't usually bring anything, so I'm very
maybe
surprised.
he just sends those to every client.
Mate, I've got the
as a
pulse check.
company.
I've got a good feeling about these. Yeah,
So he's got the
tingles.
elf
The tingles.
inside track. Guys, jumping into mine, fave eps for the year. It's kind of ones for me. It's probably ones that I really enjoy doing as well. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same as you. I'm going to run through a couple. So like I really did love Bal's episode this year and Ella's episode this year. I think very, very inspiring stories. For me, it's kind of almost the same as Brenda. It's like, it's almost the same with all of them, you know what I mean? Like even going back to Paulie Carpias at the start and then Naaman with all his experiences and the blessings and everything that was given out of that episode, and Aaron and Joe's, Kaz's, Kaz and Vanessa, Carmela and Kev, like all these different investor stories, man, so motivating. Even Cusack, man, getting on there and like having a laugh and everyone just like sitting there looking at him just going like, what is this? It was like he was high or something, you know, he was such a space cadet, and I loved it. And his story was mad. Like I loved it, right? There were so many cool stories from that end. But I think when I look at mine, when I look back and I listen back to some of the episodes, man, it's the eps that this is for me personally, it's the eps that you and I do that, man, I just get so much out of when we're kind of recording them as well. So when we actually did the 100th ep,
I had that on my list.
dude,
just didn't
I
mention
love the
it.
100th ep because we were just like, Kel, the producer, was bringing out so many like bombs that we were ripping against each other. It was so funny, man. Like I had so much fun actually recording that ep, combined with this episode last year that was released on Jan 1. I know Lukey and I both actually said that was like one of our favorite eps. Man, when we finished that ep, we were all just like had the biggest shit-eating grins on our face because we just had so much fun in that episode. And man, we were just pissing ourselves the whole time. I felt so mad when we finished it. And then also the Fast 50 ep that I did with Morgs, where we did the Fast 50 Q&A, which I think turned into about 55 questions because she threw a couple of side ones at me. But man, they were really, I think, because all this other stuff, obviously when we're doing eps, and the investor eps, I love doing them because you hear about people's stories, different things you don't really know. And I know a lot of their stories quite intimately, but there's things there that I don't know. But then when I get to do those eps with people I really enjoy recording with as well, and have a bit of fun with them as well, they're my ones, man. Because like all the others, different people take different takeaways from different episodes, which obviously is stuff that I get to, I guess provide the information for too. So they're the ones that I take a huge amount from. The funny thing is, my favorite ep, like probably one of my favorite eps of all time, I think because of how G'd up I got off it, was the Super Boom ep. And when we did the Super Boom ep, and I think just like realizing with such conviction that when I believe in something so wholeheartedly, I need to go after it. No ep has ever done that for me the way that that episode did. And I really think like kind of since then, and Lukey, you know this from a research location perspective, like how much, and I used that example before of like, we'll research someone for like 3-6+ months. And then once I've made the decision, I go wholeheartedly in it. We looked back sort of post that ep when we ran through everything, we looked back at all the locations that I'd picked. And literally the thing that we looked at the most is just like, if we'd backed ourselves and gone harder, the results we would have got over would have been that we could help so many more people. And I think doing that episode and recording that episode and kind of coming to the realization after the fact of just being like, man, I got to back myself all right, I'm not a self-proclaimed data nerd. I'm the farm boy that figured out how to invest and got really good at it. And that's my niche and that's what I'm great at. And like, I'm not taking notice of other people that claim to be these gurus in all these other fields because they're not, man. Like how many properties that we have bought in some of these locations that other people were there 2, 3, 4 years ago and they bought for their clients there and they're actually selling at a loss now when we're entering in the cusp of the next uptick. You know what I mean? Like 3, 4 years ago, all our clients doubled their money in Brisbane and Perth in that same time frame. You know what I mean? And like all the other locations we've got into in the last 2, 3 years as well. So, man, I think like as an actual like light bulb moment for me, I also really enjoyed that app. We all got pretty fired up from it. The Super Boom song came from a #1 hit the charts in Australia off the back of that episode. That was cool. That was good for the profile.
But at the start of that episode,
I wasn't.
No, we weren't. You weren't even sure.
I know.
And then halfway through the episode, you said, "Fuck it, I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it."
And then we ran with it for the rest of the
Super Boom, Super Boom, Super Boom, Super Boom, Super Boom.
Yeah.
But do you know what? People thought he was crazy. Like there would have been people
100%,
out
bro.
there that 100% go,
Nah.
this guy's lost the plot.
Bro.
Like, and since then,
Yeah.
like how much have those markets done? Like we were joking about it the other day when we were talking about this,
Yeah.
like 30-40% plus in some of these areas that we were.
I mean, there were
that's
some
it.
LGAs in Perth that did like 50% this year.
Yeah.
50%.
Wow.
And most of them did 30s to 40s. And I remember I got on with Phil Tarrant over at SBI. I'm big, good mates with Phil. And we jumped on at the start of this year, forecasting this year. And I was predicting areas doing 20, 30%. He goes, man, what are you talking about? Like, everyone was talking about like 6, 8%, other areas going backwards. And I go, man, you buy in the right market, like in this next quarter, you'll do 20, 30, 40% plus growth this year, depending on where you're buying, budgets, price points, all the rest of it. And man, proof's in the pudding. We've done it. And man, it was the first time that really solidified that I need to back myself on locations. And I think like the clarity that I had after that episode, and then again, when we dive deeper into these things, it's why we research literally every week. For us, it's a non-negotiable weekly occurrence because once I get that full picture in my head and I go get on the ground and then I give it the tick off, man, we're all in. And anyone that's been working with us for even a year, couple of years, whatever, they know we get the locations right. And when we get them right, man, we get them right in a big way, and it's game on. So
It's awesome.
yeah, man. For me, I think there's like I took a lot out of that episode, and I really enjoyed it for one, and for two, I think it solidified a lot of things for me. So yeah, I thought it was sick.
Yeah. Great.
Any final points, guys, before I jump into the actual statistics?
Ooh.
What
No.
was the longest ep for this year?
The
Longest?
longer.
Chasm Vanessa.
Ooh.
1,000,000%. By at least an hour. Yeah, it was definitely theirs. I think Naaman's came in. Naaman and Kevin Carmela came in after that. So it was, that was definitely took the cake for the longest. Anyone want to throw anything else in before I jump into the
Nah,
stats?
mate, let's get into the numbers. Let's wrap this thing up.
All right. Talking about most downloaded episodes of this year. Coming in at number 5. Actually, I've got this in reverse order. Coming in at number 5. From Plumbing Apprentice to 11 Rentals by 26, Mr. Jakey McGregor.
Ooh,
Coming to a cinema near
I
you.
thought that was 23. Jeez, it's only this year. Wow.
Incorrect. Get your memory checked. Coming in at number 4, Fighting Fires to a 4-property portfolio with Paulie Carpiers.
Bully.
Coming to a New South Wales fire calendar near you, 2025. He's a good-looking man. He's a champion. Paulie Carpiers. Number 3, How Leon. Fuck, hang on a sec. I've gone through here. No. Number 3, How Aaron and Joe built a 9-property portfolio, generating $2 million in net equity in sub 2 years. Hats off Mr. Lukey Chusin for picking that
Well
one.
done, Lukey.
Number 2, surprisingly, Space Cadet or Not, How Leon built 1 mil net equity in 4 years. I think our Tripper friend sent that one around, and that one got around a lot of truth sessions, I reckon. But Mr. Cusack coming in at number 2 for most downloaded podcasts in 2024, which is crazy. I'm going to send this over to him because he's going to be pretty chuffed with that. But that was a cool episode. It was funny, and just shows our average bloke, man, having a good crack at it. And I think he had a couple of funny stories at the end, actually. That was why I got sent around so much. Go listen back to that one if you forget what those were. We have to put in the bloopers reel, the R-rated bloopers reel, some of those as well off air. They were, he's got some stories. But the number 1 episode of Best Eps of the year is Common Investor Mistakes.
That was so rough.
I got Bailey so good. Mate, I think it was the release date that probably brought yours unstuck in terms of a max download point.
Yeah, I'll get him next
But
year.
Big Jimmy called it. One of his favorite eps of the year. Common Investor Mistakes beginner episode. Most downloaded episode of the year of 2024.
Wow. But we released your podcast in November.
It was like 3 months ago. October maybe? October.
Give it a bit.
But the numbers that you did
Kevin
in the last
Carmelo
3
was
months.
November. It would have been October. So we're
Yeah.
literally 2 months in, man. And in reality, you're not that far off these as well. You had another it's a compound effect over time. But another
So
3-6 months.
You would have taken it out if we did a full.
top 50.
Yeah.
I would
At least
sure.
top 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got our TikTok going viral. So.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
I think I'm more of a
yes.
looks thing than a. No one.
No.
Okay.
We'll
No,
take
you're
that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you got the looks.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Best episodes, most downloaded episodes
Ever.
of all time. Of all time. Coming in at number 5. He's definitely not Bailey. But I'm wigging him out so much I lock his eyes. It unbelievably
No way.
is not Lukey Chusin.
Oh, it feels bad.
Bread and butter deals came in at number 5.
Oh, that's
Bread and butter
standard.
deals.
Yeah, nice.
Interesting.
Staple.
People wanting to learn about the growth property. What's this bread and butter deals? Is it bread roll, a bit of butter? Is it,
Yeah.
what is
important.
this? Is it bread rolls?
It's a
Or is it
fundamental.
just slices of bread?
It's a fundamental.
I don't know. We still didn't bust
Is
that
there
myth.
hundreds and thousands?
Next myth busting episode. That's for children, which you probably can't remember that era of your life from 3,000-ish years ago. But
Don't.
bread and butter deals. Number 4. Most downloaded episodes of all time. Common Investor Mistakes Beginner.
What?
Released this year. Coming in at
Wow.
number 4. It is a trailblazer. This
is.
summer. Number 3. Most downloaded episodes of all time. We have the lovely Miss Morgan Holmes.
Hey!
3rd most downloaded episode of all time. Well done, Morgan.
And a trailblazing episode for a lot of young aspiring women out there and men, but I know a lot of ladies took a lot of inspiration out of that. So well done, Morgan.
That is a very, very good episode. It pains me to say. Like it hurts right now.
Bit of acid. It's worse than a firebolt.
I need some Red Brew vodka to cool the burn that I have in my heart right now.
Yes. I'm going to enjoy every minute of this.
Sammy Gordon's portfolio, properties 11 to 19,
That's full of
comes in
You are
at number 2. If you're a dickhead, your episode gets swapped out last minute. So it'll be Jimmy's portfolio, 9 properties in 2 years. 2nd most downloaded episode
Ever.
of all time.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't need an applause, but we'll take it. Number
Sympathy
1.
listens, Retirement Village listens.
Yeah.
We track those stats and they're all up
It's
all over
the
that episode.
cousins. It's all the cousins.
The cousins. Number 1 episode.
You're going to have a guess.
Go on.
I will.
Here we go.
All right.
as well.
Have a guess.
No, because we'll probably
If
run
I'm-
because I know.
Oh,
It comes with great pleasure
I reckon it's rent vesting.
that I put the trophy firmly on my own head.
Oh, no.
No, hang on. Let's get the votes in first.
No. Go on.
Rent vesting.
Rent vesting?
I say rent vesting.
Really?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah.
It's
You?
not red vesting.
Brendo?
Man, no idea.
Lukey?
I reckon it'd be Sammy's portfolio.
Yeah, bloody annoys me to say.
Go on.
It's probably going to be.
Yeah, I'll go Sammy's portfolio.
It's going to be something stupid like.
Give us a
your
drum roll.
10 to
Can someone give us a
20
drum roll? It is. How long do I need to rent vest before I buy my primary residence?
Well done,
Best
guys.
episode ever.
Man, it's the most. That episode gets shared so much, it's not funny.
Jeez.
I still see people putting it on their stories and tagging APS in it, and that was dropped 15 months ago. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like it's mate, that is a super, super powerful episode.
So
I think with mine, most people have heard my stories before, or it's broken down a bit different, but
Shout out JT.
most people haven't heard your reps, haven't heard Morgs'
Nah.
reps, and
They've
they get
heard your
shared so
stories
much.
on multiple other platforms.
Yeah, 100%.
As well. Yeah.
But man, I think like for you guys, literally to give you guys both a hats off as well. Quite honestly, let's fuck these hats off because they're annoying. But in all honesty, the hats off to massive episodes, that you guys did, being raw, being real, sharing your journeys, and having a massive go and a massive crack over what you did in your time frames. Morgs, the portfolio you built in a time frame that you did at your age as well, and on a low income, no handouts. Like I've always said it, and you've always said it as well. You don't want to ever have to say that I ever gave you money or anything like that, or anyone else ever did. So massive shout out from that side. I think Jimmy, what you did over that time frame, literally it's a massive, commendable achievement. Going from literally the one property at 39, and then within a 4-year window turning it around, and obviously that wasn't sharing the whole journey. Maybe end of next year we share what's been done to date. But man, those 9 properties in that time frame, your journey, man, how raw and how real you were with it. Yeah, man, it was
hats
a
off to you,
commendable
Sammy
effort, bro.
boy. As I said to you many times, the hardest part was just saying yes and putting yourself to the sword and saying, you know what, I'm going to commit. And then you did all the work. So it's a partnership, you make a decision, but you need the right team around you to execute. So
Big
thanks to
congrats,
you.
man. And mate, the app that we did with Big JT, the rent vesting, how long do you need to rent vest until we buy the PPOR? Man, you can understand why it's so big. And then obviously like even how hard we're continually pushing the rent vesting, model and what we know really works for people as well, man. I think it's a super powerful episode. Obviously the people think it is as well. Like you guys are probably you guys are about 1,000 downloads in front of the next closest one. Your 3 episodes are about 1,000 in front, and that thing's probably about 500 in front of yours. So that thing gets shared around a lot, which is really, really impressive in terms of people, really embracing that side of things, especially, our investors, our guys gearing up to actually have a good, hard go at investing, realizing it's an anchor. If you can't buy your primary residence, you dream primary residence now, all it's going to do is slow your journey. If you want a massive dream primary residence, you look at that opportunity cost, or you look at the cost difference between renting it versus owning it. And for a lot of people, it's making a lot of sense to change that strategy, change that tack, and go down that rent investing arm. So, man, it's really cool. It's really cool, unpacking all those episodes in terms of from a download perspective and what have hit the most. But even hearing all of your guys, and it's so funny because we all have different things that G us up and that impress us and that, give us different reasonings and motivating reasons as to why different episodes, tick the boxes for us as well. To round out with one final thing, I'd love to know what is the producer's favorite episode of the year and the favorite episode of all time? Just to throw us seriously on the spot.
Should we get her on the mic?
Go on, Kels.
Yay!
Come on.
You can say off camera, but just
You
grab the
can say
mic.
it, you can either use the mic
Just
or
yell it.
Mine was should use a BA.
Really?
use a BA.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Should use a
Everyone
BA.
was, fired up about it.
Mm.
Really good.
He did get really fired up. You did get fired up.
Did I?
Why you should, yes. Should you, or
Interesting.
doing on your own? And
Oh, did you? A lot of stuff?
more than normal.
Shouldn't that be your
More than
least favorite
normal.
then? Okay, more than normal.
More
Is that
than
your
normal.
favorite of all time or favorite of the year?
Favorite of the year?
Favorite
And of
the
all
year?
time?
Jimmy's episode.
Come on, Kels. Come on. All right, we'll cut
She
that
said,
bit out. Fuck that off.
If you didn't quite hear her, ladies and gentlemen, she said Jimmy's
Sammy's
episode. So well done, Kels. And Kels does have to put up with all of your news bulletins and everything else. So
Put up with it. She's the most educated investor in Australian property scout outside of me.
is. She actually is.
She's probably more educated than me. She's definitely more educated than you.
Yeah, well, that's not hard.
Have a shot of Red Brew vodka.
Um,
All right, guys. Wrap up. Thank you so much for all of you guys tuning in. Anyone with a final point, anything they want to throw in? Of course, Lukey does.
Just Merry Christmas to everyone. No one said it yet, so have a great festive season.
Are you dressing up as Santa this year?
Do you know what? Hudson asked me yesterday, can I dress up as Santa? And I'm thinking about it. I don't have to get a red
Why leave him
suit.
hanging, bro? Just tell him yes.
Yes, absolutely. I'll do it.
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, Merry Christmas to you guys, especially a lot of our clients and listeners. Hope you have a very festive and safe time. Have a break and kickstart the new year with a bang.
Yeah, absolutely. Here,
Should we
here.
just cut it there? Bloody
Yeah,
hell.
here,
Just
here,
that.
Lukey. Well said.
Love it, Lukey. Well done. Anyone else want to throw anything? Everyone good?
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mr. Nasal.
You did that, Bailey.
Beautiful. Guys, thank you for joining me as always on the APS Roundtable. I had a lot of fun as always jumping on and smashing out one of these sessions. Listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure you send it on to someone else. It also could be a great episode to send it on, and even what we went through and broke through today, you might get a bit of a snapshot into, for one, the most downloaded episodes. Maybe go listen to them if they might be relevant to you, but then even our favorite episodes and why they were favorite episodes as well. So if you enjoyed the episode, you think someone else might take some great value out of it, make sure you send the episode on. As always, if you're loving it, if you haven't left us a 5-star review yet, jump on, leave us that 5-star review. And if you haven't, hit that follow or subscribe button. Make sure you do it on your favorite listening platform. Hit that follow or subscribe button. And until next year, guys, although Jimmy and I have a weekly news bulletin coming out, until next year, we bring out the next long form episode for you guys. I hope you do all have a great break. I hope you all have a great, safe, eat heaps of food, all the rest of the stuff. Have a great time. Until next year, guys, we'll see you very, very soon on the Scouting Australia podcast.